Welcome to the Private Lenders Podcast with your host from Hard Money Bankers, Jason Balin and Chris Haddon. This podcast is sponsored by hardmoneymastermind.com.
Hey everyone, thanks for checking out the show. Private Lenders Podcast, Chris and Jason here. Today we are talking about lead gen, the all-important topic of lead gen. It came up because there's been a lot of chatter in the mastermind group about needing more deals, needing more leads, needing to close more deals going here into the new year, into 2025. And so the way we're going to approach this one is if we were to restart HMB or expand to a completely new market, or if you find yourself as a new lender in the business with some money to lend, yours, investor capital, whatever it may be, but you have no deals, nobody knows you lend, what are the things that we're going to do right away to get the phone ringing?
So I was thinking about this topic, and I think there's probably 5 things that I would do right away. Some of them can be done, stay up all night and hammer some of these things out. The other ones, obviously, will take a few days, weeks, or months in order to create a habit and create consistency with this. But I think the lowest hanging fruit, and again, some of these might take a little bit of time, might take a little bit of money. Some of these things you might think you're overqualified for doing, and I agree with that. There's some things that, I personally don't want to go back and do like we did endless times over and over and over in. But the point of this is, if we had to start from scratch, this is what we would do, and I encourage a lot of you listening to do the same if you're looking for more lead flow. So number one, in no particular order, is going to meetup groups and RIA groups every freaking night, or on a regular basis, maybe not every night, but as many as possible. The more you do, the better. I mean, that was such a big part of our startup was, Chris and I would divide and conquer. He'd go to some of the DC area groups. I'd go to some of the Baltimore area groups. Sometimes we go to groups together, but the goal of it was networking, meeting people, raising your hand, saying, I'm a private lender. I've got capital to give, or capital to lend out, capital to deploy, and just meeting as many people as possible. Because guess who goes to meetup groups and RIA groups? Real estate investors. Obviously, these are real estate in professional focus groups. That it's those, and there's plenty of them in every area, every city. There's plenty of meetup and RIA groups. Some of them are larger, some of them are smaller, but consistency is key, and showing face and going there over and over and over. With the goal of meeting people, networking with people, and handing out your business card, getting business cards, and then in return, putting those business cards in your email database, which we will talk about here in a second.
Yeah, we realize, very well from our own experience in this, that it's not everyone's favorite thing to do after you get done with a work day and you got to drive somewhere across town. It's going to be 7 p.m., go to a networking event where, some people are qualified, a good amount of people in the room, not so much. We know that's not the most fun thing in the world. But one of the good parts about it is that if you're a new private lender, you're going to be kind of popular in there. That's interesting to local real estate investors. It's interesting to the leader of the group. There's a good chance they'll give you 5 minutes. They always need capital. They always need money. And if you're someone who lends your own money or capital you control, they're going to want to hear what you have to say, not just like another rep coming from an institutional lender or something like that. Like, that's not really sexy to them. They know what's out there. But if you're a local private person with capital, they're going to want to hear from you. So that's the good side about, dragging yourself to a meetup group on like some random Thursday night.
So the next thing that we would do is get in touch with as many local realtors, real estate agents that you know. Now, we can tell you from experience that, real estate agents obviously haven't been like a top source or number one source of generating business and leads, but they do refer business, and they do know a lot of folks in the area and other business professionals and other real estate investors in the area and other agents. So I would get in touch with every realtor that I knew locally, and I would try to get in front of their office any way that I could, either do like a lunch and learn or a quick presentation or something. And we were very active in doing this. And keep in mind, a lot of real estate investors also are real estate agents. They overlap a lot. Mm-hmm. So it's just the community that's, important to jump in front. And however that is, you can get in front of them, the better. And I would try to do stuff in volume. So instead of kind of a one-off coffee meeting, I would say, hey, I'm in the area. I'd love to do a quick presentation or teach other real estate agents in your office, how they can make money working with real estate investors and how private capital and hard money works, and I think you'd see that there's, they'd be open to it. They'd be open to it. Now, obviously, there's the educational process of teaching them that this isn't homeowner loans; these are investor loans. But needless to say, they're a good source that you can get in front of.
Yeah, I agree. That is something to emphasize whenever you're talking to real estate agents, that you do investment properties only. And there's a good chance they'll forget. Even my own friends who are real estate agents give us a call once a year and ask us if we can finance a primary residence deal, even though we can't, never have, all that. So it's a good thing to emphasize. I mean, they'll even throw out some wild stuff like, "Oh, can you finance like an earnest money deposit?" It's like, no, that's not what we do. We do first mortgage loans on investment properties, but happy to talk to your office. So just one little word of caution when it comes to real estate offices there.
Yeah, exactly. So the next thing we would do is, create at least the basic web assets that you need: website, social media profiles, everything that's going on. I mean, that's where today is. I mean, when we started in 2007, obviously, we built out a website, and I mean, we're probably on our 5th extension of that website. And, but it was a 101 website, it was a 101. It was an easy website, and it was a way that we could at the very least, be kind of like a credibility, like billboard / business card piece, where it has a little bit about your company, a little bit about yourself, some pictures, how hard money lending works. You can build that out into blogs and to lead captures and website forms and things like that in the future. But 101 is, you got to at least throw, yourself and your company, on the interwebs, on the internet. That's important. So some sort of website along with social media, all the social media platforms. I mean, that's where it's at, right? Because there's different folks that are on different ones, right? Like, we get a lot of traffic on Instagram, and we get a lot of traffic on Facebook. We get a lot of traffic even on TikTok and on LinkedIn. Some stuff on Twitter or X, Google Business Page. I mean, it's everywhere. So just create. I'm going to talk about a few things to post there here in a second, but just get your logo set up, get your company name set up, and just get it out there. It's important, because here's the other thing. Besides just capturing business from borrowers, you better believe that if you're trying to raise capital from a capital investor, they're going to Google you, and they're going to want to see that you have a brand and a real company that exists. So again, doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to be 100% built out, but just get something basic up at the beginning.
Yeah, and that goes both when approaching capital investors and potential borrowers, because look, at the beginning, don't worry about organic traffic, because that's a long road and it's a tough game. So organic traffic coming from, like, for example, Google searches directly to your website, it's going to take time to increase in rankings. Same with building a social media presence. Building a real audience is going to take time. But the point is, you still need to be there. Even if people aren't finding you organically in order to apply for a loan, they're going to check your credibility. They're going to look you up. They want to see that you have an Instagram presence, Facebook, LinkedIn, that you have a website up and running that looks professional, like a real business. So like for example, if you meet people in a meetup group, if they're interested in doing business with you, there's a good chance that they're going to go home or pull out their phone that night or something like that and look you up, right? Check your references a bit. And so this is a perfect way in 2025 to stand out as being credible.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. So the next step is creating content and posting content. Content today is very different than it was in the past, right? It's very, very easy to create content that will make you, be credible, right? So you're already going to have your website set up. You're already going to have your social media profile set up. Then it's just posting content. And what do I mean by content? You can go, at the beginning, everything just related to how hard money lending works. That's like step one. And there's endless videos that you could create, or content of how hard money lending works. Like, how high of a loan to value can you work? Who qualifies for hard money lending? What are terms of hard money lending? Can you get a loan from a hard money lender if you're a first time flipper, right? So there's endless topics on private lending and hard money lending, and then you can also just talk about topics geared towards just real estate investors. Like, hey, here are the 5 ways to finance your next real estate project. You could go raise capital yourself. You could go to me as a hard money lender. You can go to a bank. You could put up the capital yourself, get a HELOC, things like that, right? So endless topics. Just go to our YouTube channel and you'll see endless topics that we talk about to real estate investors on that, our Hard Money Bankers YouTube channel. And, we're talking to real estate investors every day and we're trying to provide value to them. So that's the type of content. So the goal is one content piece per week, right? Now it could be a blog post or an image or a meme or something like that, but a video is going to be the best, right? Get your little webcam set up, stand in front of it, look goofy, and just, talk. Just talk knowledge. You're the expert in the private lending space. Anyways, just talk knowledge. Your audience is a real estate investor. That's who you're speaking to, a real estate investor, right? And, just rap to them for a minute or two. If you've done some deals, case studies are a really good content piece that you can do. Hey, I just lent this guy $200,000. He bought the property. He fixed it up. He sold it. He made $50,000 in 6 months. That's an average rate of return of so-and-so. Here's some before pictures and here are after pictures, right? Very simple video that you can prepare with pretty much just by yourself. Prep that, take that one content piece, post it on every single social media platform once a week. Same piece once a week. Don't worry about how many eyeballs you get, how many clicks, views, impressions you get, because guess what? Every eyeball counts. So it doesn't matter. They'll add up over time. Don't get too obsessed about that. Too many people get obsessed about, oh man, I'm working so hard to put all this content piece out and I'm only getting like 10 views a video. Who cares? That's 10 more views than you had before.
10 views might be a deal. And also don't freak out if you're not the best performer on camera. If you're new to content, expect it to be pretty terrible, right? You're going to be a little uneasy and nervous and you're going to talk real monotone. Like our early YouTube videos were really bad. And we've done hundreds or thousands of them over the years we've been in the lending business. And look, we're full-time lenders. Like we're not actors. We're not pro YouTubers, right? Like we have put in many reps to be okay at this, right? So everyone's terrible at first. Don't worry about it. You work past that. And, before you know it, as long as you're consistent with it, and we're actually talking about this earlier today here in the office. If you're consistent with it and just keep your head down and keep cranking out content week after week, month, year, you actually do get better, surprisingly, because you probably never pictured yourself being on camera doing any kind of content. And the fact that you will improve at it, it sneaks up on you. It doesn't happen right away and you kind of don't think about it. But then you look at your new stuff versus your old stuff and you're like, oh, damn, we actually got okay at this.
Yeah. And being authentic and real and local is important anyways. So it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Like being authentic, I'll repeat that. Being authentic, local, and real is very important. And people want to do business with local people that are real people, not just, gurus or someone, that's give them false information. Just provide good value to them, to real estate investors, and, they'll give you a shot at a loan. And then you got creating your email database. Creating your email database, something we talk about a lot on this podcast because it's super important. I can't emphasize enough how much that's important. But when you start off, you might not have a big database or any database at all. So, go through your contact list. Any colleagues you have, friends, clients, anyone at all that are in the real estate space, maybe not real estate investing space, just real estate space in general, small business owners, things like that. Put them in your email database. Doesn't matter if it's 10 people or a few thousand people. Start there with the goal that you'll continue to grow that with every meetup group you go to, every meeting you go to. Hopefully, most people that go to your website, you'll be able to, lead capture their contact information. So that'll grow and grow and grow and grow. And at the beginning, if you ask the question of like, well, what should I email them on a regular basis? Well, that one content piece that you create once a week, that video, there you go. Send them that video. That's easy. And I actually think that a newer, like a fresher email list, like if you're newer at this and you don't have an email database, I actually think it's easier to come up with content over and over and over with it because there's endless subjects or topics. So you can do very basic 101, like, hi, my name's Jason. This is Chris. We're Hard Money Bankers. this is our background. This is where we came from. This is what we do. This is, this is what it looks like when you flip a property and you get a loan from us and what our terms are and things like that, right? There's endless topics, on those particular subjects of just how the company works. Like, why do we call the company Hard Money Bankers? Why it's important to work with a local lender that understands the state of Maryland and things like that. So anyways, email that database once a week, and then, you can work from that, but that database will grow and there's your clientele right there. Like, this is very low hanging fruit, like 101 stuff that kind of has to be done. Again, some of this was one-off stuff. Some of this is consistent stuff.
Yeah. And if you notice the things that we've mentioned to start with day one to get the phone ringing, it's all free. All this stuff that we're talking about, besides like the nominal cost of having like, an email broadcast like system, like MailChimp or one of those, which is, when you don't have much of a list, it might be actually free. The stuff that we're talking about is free. You could do other things later on with paid traffic and all that kind of stuff, but, really focus on that database. Like, everything leading up to it are different ways to get people into it, to grow a database. And I also want to add in phone numbers too, in addition to email addresses, because as time goes on, you're going to want to use some other avenues to contact your people. Like, not everyone opens the email broadcast you send. Sometimes they'll go to spam or like the promotions tab or something like that. And so the phone number, and over time, maybe working in some text marketing, maybe some voice broadcasts. I want to emphasize that one too. Or maybe just like outbound calling to people that you've met in the past, right? There's nothing wrong with that. That's legit proactive sales activity. But everything that we have mentioned going on down the line is all to build that database of potential borrowers. And then you stay in front of that database of potential borrowers and then real borrowers and repeat clients. Staying in front of them is the name of the game after that.
That's it. That's it for the episode today. I think that was a good refresher for a lot of folks, a lot of our audience. There's been a lot of chatter in the Hard Money Mastermind group related to this topic. If you're not in the Hard Money Mastermind group, definitely check it out. Just go to hardmoneymastermind.com. We posted a question the first of the year as we're recording this, and it said, what are some of your goals? What are some of your big focuses for 2025? And a lot of folks chimed in and said lead generation, getting the phones to ring a little bit more, and that's fine. And we've done some advanced trainings and podcasts on that topic, and we'll continue to. But I thought this was going to be a good refresher of, great, you can do some of this more advanced stuff in the future, but you got to start here first. You got to have your baseline intact. And if you're hungry enough to go get deals, they're out there right now. Yeah, you might have to spend some time to do so, right? You're either going to have to spend time or you're going to have to spend money. And you get to a point where you're going to do both. But the more you put in, the more you're going to get out of it.
All right, everyone, that is the pod for today. We'll see you all here next time on the Private Lenders Podcast.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Private Lenders Podcast. Please note that the opinions stated by all the speakers on this show are only opinions and not intended for legal, financial, or accounting advice. Please make sure to always check with your own legal, accounting, and financial professionals. If you enjoyed this episode of the Private Lenders Podcast, we'd appreciate it if you would spread the word. Make sure to check out hardmoneymastermind.com, the #1 free community for new and experienced private and hard money lenders.